Hi guys, welcome back to The Baseline. Thanks for joining me again. So try to imagine this with me, right? The cameras flash, the crowds chant, and somewhere behind the podium, a familiar voice leans towards the mic and says, kind of half jokingly and also half testingly, maybe we're going to go for a third term. Now the room laughs, but the Republic doesn't, because that's how power checks the locks, with a bit of a joke. And every time, every empire that ever lost its balance started with that very same laugh. Now the question becomes this: could it actually happen? Could an American president bound by the 22nd Amendment somehow serve without ever being elected? Well, reports suggest some lawyers think they found a crack in the Constitution. And the one word they found, the one crack, is the word elected, not serve. Not eligible, just the word elected. And through that single word, a handful of legal theorists believe a twice elected president could sneak right back into the office through that particular side door. As vice president, as speaker, or even as a placeholder waiting for the right resignation. So pause on that for a moment, because 250 years after fighting a king, the United States may have written itself a monarch-shaped loophole. So this isn't about Trump alone. It's about the muscle memory of democracy. So once power learns it can stretch the rules, it's never going to go back to yoga, guys. The danger isn't the next election. It's the next precedent. So think of it like software, right? Every time a president pushes past a norm, the code actually gets saved. And then future presidents, what do? They just hit click and run. And when the framers first debated the presidency, Hamilton floated a lifetime appointment. And Madison, he almost agreed. They wanted stability, which is basically a friendly word for control. Now, Washington, he set the opposite example. He just walked away. That exit became America's unwritten firewall. 2 terms, then go home. But firewalls, they only hold until someone famous decides they don't anymore. Roosevelt cracked it. He cracked it open during the Great Depression, arguing that stability over tradition was more important. And he won 4 terms. Now, Congress panicked, and by 1951, the 22nd Amendment slammed that door shut. No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. That's it. No poetry, no qualifiers, just 8 years, max 10 in very rare cases. Until now. Because we have Professor Peabody and Grant, legal minds who argue the word elected leaves wiggle room. If the Constitution bans election but not service, then maybe, theoretically, a 2-term president could return through succession. Say, as vice president, under an ally who later steps down. It's a thought experiment. But so was the Roman Republic right before Caesar temporarily took command. Absurd? Maybe. But remember, Gerald Ford became president without ever being elected to presidency or the vice presidency. The path exists. Lunacy exists. But the precedent itself, it does flicker, right? Now, imagine a future ticket. A younger proxy wins, a loyal VP resigns, and suddenly the old name is right back on the door. And I bet you guys can imagine where this is going, right? Democracy on technical support. Constitutional scholars like Eugene Volk and Akhil Amar say, wait a minute, hold up. Eligible means electable. Now, if you can't be elected, you can't serve, end of story. And they're right, legally, linguistically, historically, but law just isn't what it used to be because in 2025, legality seems to bend towards loyalty. And we've seen this movie before, right? When a president can ignore subpoenas, rewrite emergency powers, or even declare immunity from prosecution, well, the law becomes more like a suggestion printed in italics. So this third term story isn't about one man's ambition. It really is a stress test. It's a stress test to see if the public still cares about these limits. And if we argue long enough about whether it's technically possible, we forget to ask whether it's morally acceptable. It's the magician's trick. Distract with one hand while waving the Constitution, and the other hand, it rewrites the norm. Every democracy dies of natural causes, whether it's apathy, whether it's fatigue, the slow surrender to absurdity, which we seem to be in some extent. The real third term isn't on the ballot. It's in the mindset that says, well, maybe the rules don't matter that much anymore. But here's the truth hiding in plain sight. The 22nd Amendment wasn't about party. It was about a sense of humility. It was a legal reminder that no one is the nation's destiny. Because when leadership turns into a type of possession, citizens in turn become subjects. And yet, the idea still tempts us, like a casino offering one more spin after the game's over. Because if power is addictive, America's been chasing its next hit since 1776. So maybe this isn't about Trump at all. Maybe it's about whether we still believe in passing the torch or not. Whether we trust democracy enough to let it breathe without a strong man holding the mic. Because somewhere between all this, between the laughters, the lawsuits, the joke became the trial balloon. And if no one pops it, it just might float into history, labeled not as a threat, but as just politics. So the question becomes this. The question isn't, can a president serve a third term or not? It's simpler and far more dangerous. Will anyone stop him from trying? All right, guys, let me know what you think. Do I have this all right? Do I have it all wrong? Put it in the comment section below. I read and reply to all the comments. And once again, thank you guys so much for watching me here on The Baseline. All right, cheers, everybody.